and welcome back to the channel. On today's tutorial, I'm going to be sharing a requested video of how to make a Queen Anne neckline corset with a flare sleeve. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button. Let's dive right into today's video. So first, these are the fabric I'm working with. This is a velvet and this is my stay, and I'm going to go ahead to iron my stay on it. So to iron it, you're going to place the stay on it. That is the shiny part. There's always a shiny part. And when you're buying a velvet, please get a taped velvet. They have rolling velvet and taped velvet. Go for taped velvet and go for the thicker version of your stay. So you can sprinkle water on it and then go ahead to iron it out this way. So with this way, it will be easier for you to iron it out. So after I'm done ironing it out, this is what I have, and the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to cut out my pattern. So remember, when we are drafting this out, we did not add any measurement on the front pattern, and we're going to go ahead to add it right now on this fabric. Now I'm going to measure about 1.5 inches, which is the sewing allowance I want to add to this dress, and this 1.5 inches is not a standard. I'm going to go ahead and mark 1.5 inches all the way on the sides. So on the lower part, you're going to be adding half inch to this. So I'm using my marker to mark this out so that it will be visible for you to see. If I use my chalk, it might be difficult to see on this stay. Now you're going to be adding half inch to the rest of the pattern all the way down, and on top you're also going to add half inch round. After you're done doing this, the next step is just to go ahead to cut this out. So you can also use 2 inches for your allowance. Now I'm going to open it up, and this is what I have. So now I've gone ahead to cut out my cup also with the same velvet, and I'm using a bra foam. If you're using a wadding, you also use the same process. And if you're also making use of an already made cup, you're going to join your cup this way and then add, sorry, you're going to join your pattern this way also, the same way I'm attaching mine, and you're going to attach your cup. So to get a clear explanation about how to do that, you can check my last YouTube video where I made a 3-part corset with an already made cup. So I'm going to go ahead also to join the other side of my cup, placing the bra foam underneath it. Now after doing that, I'm going to go ahead to iron this out, or you can top stitch it, then place it together, join with half inch all together. So now I'm done joining my cup, and the next step is to go ahead to join the upper part. You are going to go ahead also iron the upper part together with the velvet with a hemming gum, or you can just stop stitch. So after doing that, you're going to place it at the center this way. Find the center and stitch with half inch. Repeat it on the other side of your cup, and now when your cup is ready, you're going to attach it to the body. So remember to iron your cup is very important, and to iron it, to avoid burning my cup, I'm going to iron from the wrong side. And remember also to trim off the excess that you have, if not your cup is going to be bulky. Next step is you want to go ahead to attach your cup. Go ahead to fold this way and find the center, and I'm going to go ahead to pin it up to the upper part of the cup. And after I'm done pinning it, I'm also going to pin it at the other side this way. So you're going to be working very well with your pin. So if the body of your corset is too small, go ahead to notch it to fit your cup this way. And after that, I'm just going to go ahead to pin it down, and I'm going to be stitching with half inch. But first, make sure that the cup matches the space that you have. If the cup is too big for the space, go ahead to just notch it and adjust it. So after I'm done pinning it this way, I'm going to go over to the sewing machine, and I'll be stitching it with half inch round. So I've gone ahead to stitch my cup with 1/2 inch and I've ironed it out. So most times when you're working with velvet, you notice that you have this ruffle around the bust, but by the time you iron out and you're done sewing, attach your boning, you're not going to be seeing it or lace it on the dress. So I'll go ahead and repeat this on the other side of my cup, and I'll also attach it just the same way I did for this part. So here is my cup. I'm done attaching it, and this is what it looks like. So now remember to join your sleeve to this dress when we are cutting it. That is 1/2 inch away from the joining at the center. So go ahead and measure 1/2 inch away from the center, notch it, and now you're going to be attaching your sleeve. So for your sleeve, you're going to go ahead to stitch the side facing inwards. So after stitching it, I went ahead to iron it, and I'm going to place and stitch with 1/2 inch on this part, and I'll also repeat the same process, at the other part of my sleeve. So after I'm done attaching my sleeve, this is what I have, and next we'll be turning it with the cup. So just the same way I joined this front pattern is the same way I joined the back pattern. The only difference is that for the back pattern I used a lining, and if you notice on the cup, it is a bit different from what I have from the lining. So I went ahead to use a doll face because I like the cup part of my corset to be firm, so I used a doll face. Most times if I don't use a doll face, I end up using the same fabric, the Ankara fabric that I'm working with. So now I'm going to go ahead to pin this all the way, and I'm going to be stitching the upper part of my cup first. So after stitching it, I'm just going to go ahead to notch it, and I will also stitch the side with 1/2 inch. So now if you don't want to notch the upper part of your corset, you can go ahead to sew the allowance down to the lining part. So after I'm done sewing, this is what I have. As you can see, my corset is looking very nice, and the next step we're going to take now is to go ahead to work on the lower part of the dress, which is the skirt part. But before we do that, I'll go ahead to run my boning channels on top. So I did this so that the boning channels is going to hold the corset very firm, because most times if you're working on a velvet, you notice that it's always moving most of the time. So if you top stitch on it together with your lining, is going to give you a firm effect. Or you can just double it up with a doll face. But this also is another method of holding down your velvet from shifting. So now after this, I'll go ahead and insert my boning to my corset. And when I'm attaching this, I'm going to go ahead to tape up the upper part of my boning so that it's not going to poke my dress and it will be easy to pass through. So after I'm done attaching my boning, so if you notice, you can see a little difference. My corset is standing up very well, like the body is firm. So this is the result you're going to have, and next you'll be attaching the skirt. So to work on your skirt, for the lining piece, you're going to take out few inches of lining from it. So for my folding allowance, I added 1.5 inches. So on my lining, I'll take out 2 inches. If I add 2 inches for my folding allowance, I'll take out 2.5 inches for my turn up allowance for the lining. So I'll go ahead to trace this out, and also repeat this for the back pattern. So whatever I'm doing for the front, I'm also doing it for the back pattern. Take note. So I'm just going to go ahead to place my skirt on it, stitch the lower part of my skirt to the lining with 1/2 inch, and after I'm done stitching it, this is what I have. So now to create a turn up effect, I'm going to pull my skirt up this way, the main fabric, and now I'm going to measure that 1.5 inches that I added for folding allowance. That is what you're going to measure, starting from where the fabric started at the lower part and where the folding stopped. That is 1.5 inches. If you move it up, you notice that your skirt will align with the lining, and you're going to stitch with 1/2 inch on the sides. So after I'm done stitching it, I'll go ahead to attach the skirt to the upper part of the dress. And to attach it, I'm just going to go ahead to place and I'll trace the waistline. But first, go ahead to notch the center. So after you're done notching, go ahead to place this way. Right now, you're going to trace out the waistline and you're going to use your chalk to do this. I'm just going to go ahead to trace what I have, and after I'm done tracing, I will be attaching my skirt with ½ inch to the upper part, and you're going to start sewing with ½ inch on one side and then attach with ½ inch on the other side. After I'm done attaching, this is what I have. So I'll just go ahead and measure one side of the armhole of my dress. So now we're going to start working for the back pattern of the dress. So to work on this part, if you notice, I went ahead to add ½ inch, and on the side of the armhole, that's where I didn't add ½ inch. Add ½ inch on the upper part, on the lower part, and the sides of the lower part of your dress. So now I'm going to open this up and I'll stitch with ½ inch on this side. So after I'm done stitching, this is what I have, and I'm going to go ahead to join this to my main fabric. And to join this, I went ahead to notch where I have the dart, because I went ahead to also blend in my dart because I don't like sewing dart at the back of the dress. So after that notch, you're going to measure about ½ inch away from it. Remember, just like we said when we were drafting the pattern. So if you have not watched the drafting video, go ahead to check that out on my channel. So I'm going to place this and I will be stitching it with ½ inch on it. And now I'm going to go ahead to place mine lining, the lining part of it, and I will stitch with ½ inch. After I'm done stitching with ½ inch, this is what I have. Now we're going to go ahead to create the loop for the dress. Go ahead to open it this way, and I've gone ahead to make a little rope or strand for this, whatever you call it, and I'm just going to go ahead to cut this out. So sorry that this video is a little fast. The actual video is too lengthy, so I'm just trying to cut it short. So you're going to go ahead to cut the parts of this strand that you made, or strap that you're going to be using to make your loop. Now you're going to go ahead to place this loop and measure about 1 inch or 1.5 inches before placing the next one. So don't use more than 1.5 inches because there will be much gaping at the back of the dress. So this is it. After I'm done sewing, I'm going to go ahead and flip it and stitch with ½ inch on the both sides. So after stitching, I'll turn it to the right side and I'll run stitches on top of it. Those stitches will serve as a lacing bar on it. So as you can see, I have one immediately after this. So you can go ahead and create as much as you want for the back, but I don't want to attach much boning to my back. So now after I'm done doing this, I'm going to go ahead to add boning to the back of my dress so that when I lace it, it's going to hold the upper part. So if you want more structure to the back of your dress, go ahead and add more boning channels, sorry. And after that, I'll attach my skirt to it. So to attach your skirt, you're going to measure 1 inch for your zipper allowance. And then if you notice, when we were drafting our pattern, we took out 1.5 for the back. So totally, you're going to have 2.5 inches. And after that, you're going to attach your back. After marking that 2.5 inches, you attach your back pattern to it. So after I'm done sewing, this is what I have. I'm going to place this and attach my zip and stitch the lower part of this dress. So this is what I have, and next I will place the back pattern on the front pattern this way, and we're going to go ahead to join the shoulders together. You're going to go ahead to place and use one shoulder to turn the other shoulder. So sorry that part was not really visible. And after I'm done turning my shoulder, the next step is to go ahead and to cut my sleeve. So I'm going to mark from my shoulder to elbow, which is 13 inches, and I'll mark my sleeve length, which is 21. So now I'm just going to mark my armhole circumference divided by 2, which is 16. 16 divided by 2, I have 8 plus 1 inch, giving me 9 inches. So after I'm done doing that, next is to find your sleeve cap height. Don't doing that, to find your sleeve cap height is your bust circumference divided by 12 plus 0.5 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark at that point. And after I'm done doing that, remember that we measured the shoulder. The measurement I got was 8.5, so I'll be adding it half inch, making it 9 inches. So I'll just go ahead and draw out a curve at that point and make sure that the curve is 9 inches on the dots. So after I'm done drawing it out, I'll go ahead and I will measure it to the end. So where that 9 inches stop, I'm going to mark. So going down to my elbow point, I'm going to measure my elbow circumference, divide it into 2, and I'll go ahead to mark. And after marking that, I'll add half inch to it. So if you're going to turn yours with a lining, go ahead to add up to 1 inch allowance or 1.5. And at the wrist, I'll mark my wrist circumference divided by 2 plus half inch. So I'll go ahead and connect from the upper part down to the lower part of this pattern, and I'm going to cut this out. So now we're going to cut out the flap part for this sleeve. Now after folding it into 2 this way, you're going to go ahead to fold it again, making it into 4 flaps. So the measurement you're going to use to cut this is the measurement you have round your wrist. But if you want to make yours the flare bigger and fuller, you're going to add few inches to yours. So I went ahead to add about 1 inch to my own, and that was 4 inches I marked. So I placed my tape back from the tip of my material to that line. I measured it and took it round. So after doing that, I connected it back, and then you measure the length of the flare that you want. If you want 5 inches, 6 inches or 7 inches. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. When I was cutting it, I didn't know the camera was not recording. So to cut the second part, you're going to place this on another fabric and you cut out. And for those that want to turn this with lining, go ahead to place and cut out your lining, or you can also use bias to tape off the mouth or weave it out. So for me, I'm going to weave my own. So what I'm going to do now is to attach this to the lower part of my sleeve. So if you have any question, please leave it at the comment section. Now I'm going to take the flap part and I'm going to pin it down, and I'll just create little folds on it to make it look fuller. So after this, I'll go ahead to stitch it with half inch and I'll attach the sleeve to my dress. So I'll bring the dress for shaping, and this is my dress right now. So to mark your measurement, place your tape at your under bust. My under bust is 12. Go ahead to find your bust measurement, which is 9. Mine is 9 inches, and I'll mark my waist 17. From my waist, I'll place my tape and measure about 7 inches. I'll go ahead to impute my basic measurement. So when we are drafting this pattern, we added 1.5 inches on both sides. So by the time you sew out half inch, you have 1 inch left on both sides. So I'll go ahead to mark 1 inch on both sides of my pattern, and I'll also repeat that for my bust. After measuring it, I have 1 inch left, and I went ahead to mark this and insert my hip measurement. So after that, so at the hip, I'll also insert my hip measurement. So to see a full video on how to actually shape a dress, you can just go down to my channel, my last video on how to make a corset. So you can go ahead and check this out. This is the final look of the dress. If you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and join us in our next video.